Now, the post office scandal has been recognised as one of the biggest miscarriages of justice in UK history. Tomorrow, MPs will have the chance to question the current company chief, Nick Reed, and his former chairman, Henry Staunton.
Yeah, they will all appear before the Business Select Committee in Parliament, and they'll be asked about the scandal, which of course saw hundreds of sub-postmasters wrongly convicted of theft and fraud.
We're joined now in the studio by Solicitor Terry Wilcox, who represents many people affected.
And also by former sub-postmasters Tim Brentnall and Tony Downey. Thank you very much indeed, all of you, for joining us. Terry, can we start with you on behalf of all the clients you're dealing with? What do you want to come of this Select Committee meeting this week?
A sense of urgency. One of the major problems that our clients face is that there are inordinate delays. Every phase of this process, there seems to be a hurdle for our clients to climb. So we want some speed, a change in the way the compensation scheme is administered.
So we talk, don't we, a lot about the post office scandal. There's almost another scandal, isn't there?
Yes.
What is that? How is that affecting the lives of people who come to you?
People are waiting inordinate lengths of time to receive the compensation that they've been promised for many, many years. We face delays, bureaucracy within bureaucracy, because nothing seems to happen. Our clients complete schedules of loss with statements of truth, which are, to a court, they are of paramount importance. And yet they are investigated to, the last detail.
Terry, before this, you worked on the Hillsborough inquiry.
Yes, I did.
I mean, obviously, it is a very different situation, but in your mind, while you're working on it, do you see parallels?
When I worked on Hillsborough, I thought I would never be shocked again. The work that I do, and yet here I am many years later, and I'm equally shocked.
Let's talk to Tim and Tony now. Tim, if we could just start with you. I know you were offered £600,000, weren't you, because your conviction was quashed. Now, that does sound like a big number, doesn't it? But please just explain to people at home who are watching us this morning why that doesn't feel like enough to you because of everything you've been through.
Okay, well, yeah, my conviction was quashed in 2021. That offer only came in a few months ago. So I've spent the last 3 years with Hudgels building my claim, as Terry said, evidencing every small loss and having my situation looked at by sort of independent financial experts. When I was prosecuted by the post office, I was only in my late 20s. So I perhaps had 40 or 50 years of business with that ahead of me, which has all been lost through their actions. So my claim is much larger than that £600,000. And I do agree, Sally, it does sound like an awful lot of money. And it feels almost slightly underhand that offer was made public, because I'm very wary of us appearing perhaps greedy. But all we're asking for is what's independently been assessed as our losses.
And when you talk about putting that claim together, that's almost like another job now, isn't it? Because the amount of detail that you have to go into. Just tell us about some of the things now that you have to put down on paper, the losses that you've been through.
Yeah, you have to evidence every single head of loss that you claim for. So I've almost spent the last at least 2 years almost going into more detail with business plans and predictions than we did to get the original business loan for the shop.
Tony, when you hear that word compensation, what do you think after what you've been through?
Well, it's not really, people say compensation, and this is more, for me at the moment, it's giving me back what they took from me. Obviously, there's the money. I put 36,000 or almost 36,000 into my post office, but then I've lost my business, I lost my home, I lost my health. So when you say compensation, I mean, that's something additional to what they took. That's how I see it.
So how would you describe it? This is just sort of reclaiming what you're owed, is effectively. This is just the start, the basics.
Well, at the moment, it's the struggle to reclaim what we're owed. I'm slightly different from Tim in that I was in what was the historical shortfall scheme. We got no legal assistance with our application. It's difficult, complicated, lots of legal terms. So different.
And Tim, you sat here with 8 other sub-postmasters on the breakfast set, and we questioned the minister together a few weeks back. I think, maybe people watching who aren't directly involved might think, OK, well, it's all being sorted now and things are beginning to work. For you, just on an emotional level, day to day, what is life like now?
It's very hard, John, because we keep having days like when I sat there with you and you feel like something's really going to move or change, and then nothing happens. And we've been going through this since Alan won his court case in 2019. You expect things to move forwards because we won, and nothing happens. Then you move to when my conviction was quashed in 2021, and you think, right now, I'm going to be able to start to put my life back together and move on. And here we are 3 years later, and nothing yet has changed. The minister promised that morning when I was there with you that things would move and we'd see a big difference. And here we are still talking 5 weeks later, and materially, nothing has changed.
I think the phrase he used that day was that things would happen at pace. What does the pace feel like?
Very, very slow.
And what's the toll of that on you and your life after everything you've been through?
It wears you down. It's a long time. You have these empty promises. They feel like keep coming one after another, and nothing ever seems to change day to day.
Terry, it's the pace of this now that's so challenging, isn't it? How do you manage to keep going and with the weight of all the pressure of all these different cases, all these different claims, and the amount of detail that you have to go into?
It's a question we've got to, because our clients are suffering because of these delays. You mentioned at pace. We wonder whether it's glacial pace. Something needs to change, and it needs to change now.
Will this select committee meeting this week that you're all going to attend, will that change things? Can that change things?
The select committee seem to be getting more and more concerned with the delays that are obviously there. We had in the very recent past an argument over whether certain things were said at meetings about delays, but there's no dispute. There are significant delays. That's what we need to change. We need to change the delay and get compensation for the people like Tony and Tim who deserve it.
And Tony, just your reaction to that. What would you like to hear this week?
Yeah, exactly the same as I'll sort of echo what everybody else has said there. It's maybe we keep hearing these timescales, these commitment to dates. They just don't happen. Just some firm dates. Let's stick to these. Let's give these people, myself included, what we rightly deserve.
Tony Downey, Tim Brentnall, and here in the studio, Terry Wilcox. Thank you all very much indeed for joining us. We will continue to follow this with interest over the next few days and months. Thank you.